You played the position, coached the position, but at what point do you realize that you need to move on from a quarterback? Yeah, I know the money factor is big in this, but I don't know what Jacksonville has with Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what Miami has with Tua. I don't know what Arizona has with Kyler. Now, they're all getting paid, but at some point there's diminishing returns there. So as a coach, when do you know that this guy is not going to give us maybe the best chance to win?
Well, it's a great question. I think it's a pertinent question for this time in football because as you talk about those guys, we also talk about Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones and some of these other guys who were kicked to the curb by their organizations and now they're thriving somewhere else. So I think, teams are probably a little concerned about doing that again and having their guy who they've invested so much in go somewhere else and have success. To me, as we all know, it's a cliche to say it, football is the ultimate team sport. Nobody, nobody's fate is more determined by that than the quarterback. So the quarterback needs a supporting cast. He needs linemen. He needs playmakers. He needs a runner. He needs a defense. He needs coaching, all of that. And oftentimes these guys who get picked high go to bad places where none of those things are in place and they don't know how to play yet. And so you have a double whammy there and that they're not ready and they're certainly not ready in this environment that they're playing in. So one of the things that's a factor for all these things is when they have so much adversity and they're part of all the losing, the question is, can they ever survive in that place? Do they need to go somewhere else to reinvent themselves? And I think that's what happens to a lot of these guys. If they stay there, even if the environment gets better, there are too many scars. And sometimes they need to wipe the whiteboard clean and start anew. So for all those guys that you're talking about, they're not necessarily in great environments. In Miami, in Jacksonville, in Arizona, the teams around them have not been that good. And I've seen it happen with players who are the best that ever walk at that position. Troy Aikman, at the end of his career, he probably was a better player than he was when we were winning Super Bowls, right? But the supporting cast was diminished. And you can look at, you pick the guy, Dan Marino, so many others who were elite, best of all time guys. When the supporting cast got worse, harder for them to have success. So if that's the case for them, it certainly is the case for some of these guys. I do think at some point you have to use your football expertise and your gut to say, hey, I'm sticking with them or I'm moving on. And oftentimes that happens with a new coach.